Okay, there we go. So we've been working for the last few weeks, with last week obviously being an exception, on um, alternate nostril breathing, right? And we've been looking at different aspects of it. So we're going to continue with that today with a little bit of a hold. And I'm going to add something in. So I had a training course from last Wednesday until Sunday evening. And on the course, I had this very intelligent guy who wanted to add little bits. And he gave me what I think is a gem. I'm looking further into it. But he was talking about neck exercises as being important before pranayama for this reason. You have the nerve that causes the descent of the diaphragm. It's called your phrenic nerve, right? And it moves out of either C3 or C4 region within the cervical spine, and it descends down to the diaphragm. And it is the action of this nerve that causes the contraction of the diaphragm downwards. And it's hypothesized, although in my review of the research, I need to find more, that putting a little bit of compression on this nerve in advance of doing breathing practice has the effect of supporting its descent of the diaphragm more thoroughly. So before we get into the alternate nostril breathing, we'll do that. It can't hurt anyway. It's always good to do some neck exercises in the morning. So we'll do some gentle ones. And please do sit upright, roll your shoulders up and back, lift the heart center, right? And now just bring your right ear towards your right shoulder and just breathe. Breathe slowly but naturally here. You can close your eyes if you'd like. You can actually imagine this nerve. You have a right and left branch, so you're putting pressure on the right branch. You can even imagine maybe a slight increase in descent to the right side of the diaphragm. And then lift up. And let's go the other direction. Left ear towards left shoulder, right shoulder soft, feeling the stretch in the right side as there is some compression on the left side of the vertebrae, pressing into phrenic nerve on that side. Nice, gentle breathing. Rise up. Press your chin into your chest. It's not really going to put the same kind of pressure there. It's going to release it. It's just good to stretch the back of the neck. And then lift up. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the neck stretch where the head comes between the shoulder blades. You really don't want to have too much compression in the vertebrae behind. So just a really gentle one. I want you to imagine a cylinder behind your neck, and you lift your chin up, and you're just arching back over that cylinder, so you're not causing any crushing action. In the cervical spine, you're looking up, and there'll be a little pressure on the phrenic nerve, just a little. And you're breathing. And rise up. Okay. So as we're going to get into alternate nostril breathing, I wanted you to really sense this morning how it might feel to breathe into one side of the respiratory tract versus the other before we go back and forth. So just using your thumb, occlude the right nostril. That means just close it. And just breathe into your left side. Close your eyes. Breathe into the left nostril. Obviously, if you are having trouble breathing into the left nostril, you can lift the left sinus cavity region by lifting the left cheek. Otherwise, just breathe in and sense into what you feel. Do you feel the air more in the left lung? How does it feel in the right? Just hone your awareness. Or we would say your interoceptive awareness, your awareness of the sensations in your body arising as you breathe with awareness on purpose. Lovely. And release the thumb down. And let's just on its own now breathe into the right nostril, so including the left. You can use the opposite hand if you'd like. And just sense into how that feels, where you feel the breath. Notice if you can feel the diaphragm descending downward or not. If the breath feels equal or unequal in both lungs. Just really connecting into the breathing self. And release. And now we're going to come into alternate nostril breathing. So for those of us familiar, we're going to do alternate nostril breathing today, inhaling, holding the breath in, and exhaling long. So that's what we're going to do if we're familiar with it. For those of us newer to it, we're just going to inhale through one nostril, exhale through the opposite side. So let's all start together with the prior step, and those of us familiar will go to the next, and those of us newer will stick with the first step as we do when we're learning anything. So create your hand position. You can either have your first two fingers here on the forehead at the third eye center, or as I tend to do, you can tuck them in. It doesn't matter. You're going to use your thumb and your ring finger. Have your elbow lodged in at your side, nice and comfortable. And you're going to press your thumb into your right nostril. And we're going to just do a really short inhale to start the process. So inhale, 1, 2. Close the left nostril, so they're both closed for a second. And exhale through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the right. 1, 2. Close. Exhale through the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the left. 1, 2. Close and hold. Exhale through the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the right. 1, 2. Close and hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now continue this. If you feel you can do 3, 6, 4, 8, even 5, 10, go ahead and do it. Right? But 2, 4 should be accessible to most of us. And complete 2 more rounds, everyone, without any kind of hold, just doing this. Just inhaling for half the length of what you exhale. And not just counting. You need to count in order to keep a rhythm, but feeling it, feeling where the air flows into, feeling the subtle breath. So continue. For those of you who are new, just continue doing this. For those of you for whom alternate nostril breathing is a regular thing, hold the inhale after you've breathed in one side. Hold for the same count that you inhaled for. So if you inhaled for 2, hold for 2. If you inhaled for 4, inhale, hold for 4, and so on and so forth, holding on both sides. And if you're new, no hold necessary today. But as I've been saying week on week, as we've been practicing this breath, it's really normal that because we're making the flow more subtle, that it becomes, you have this feeling of breathlessness and you just want to release the hands. You don't want to continue. You want to take a break. And it's at that moment that you have the option really for a reset point. It's at that moment where if you just keep going, even though it's slightly uncomfortable, that you help message to your brain nuclei that you're okay and that you shift your relationship to breath. If it becomes really overwhelming, you can always take a break for a moment and start again. But when you move through that slight discomfort, you help to reset the point in a healthy way for yourself. We're going to be practicing like this now for another 7 minutes. And so it'll really give you time to feel the depths of the pranayama. Try to have the eyes closed. And just being with the flow. Really being with the flow. Keep going. Let all be timeless. Just you with breath. Nowhere to go. Nothing to think about. Just you and your breath. Making it more and more subtle. Just a few more rounds and really allowing your mind to slip into your breath more deeply, noticing if thoughts are arising instead, if you got lost on automatic pilot, and making such a concerted effort to just be there. Take 2 more full rounds after the one you're in. Finish that. And then let your hand come down. Don't rush. Don't rush. Just be. I know some of you are finished, some are still going. As you're finished, just bask in this state of breath. Those of you still going, don't rush. We all have different breath lengths, different needs for our body at different moments. Just honor what prana wants. And for those of you that are just with your breath in its natural flow, watch it with clarity. Controlling the breath has the property of controlling the mind. And watching the mind has the property of impacting the breath. They're this amazing team. And they can unify, in fact. Your mind can be completely, totally 100% absorbed in breath. Let it be. Don't just watch the prana, the breath. Be it. Be the inhale, the exhale. You're just floating with expansion and contraction. Or inhale and exhale. You are inhale and exhale. And when other aspects of you interrupt, like thinking, it's just background chatter. Notice it. And channel just breath then in you. No control of breath, but deep, enduring awareness of mind. Bring the mind back. Let the mind be breath. If it's gone out, bring it back. You are breath all the way from the beginning of the inhale to the cessation, to the moment where the exhale starts, to the end, to the pauses in between where there is no coming and going. You are this. And now you're not opening your eyes just yet, but you're telling yourself the formal aspect of practice is about to end. In a moment or so. And in this state, which for some of you might be deep, your mind might be moving, but tell yourself, I will be breath. When I find myself fluttering about, getting upset, wanting things that might not be coming to me right now, I will be breath again. I will try to simplify. I'll just be breath. And when you're ready, you can flutter your eyes open. I'm going to put back the gallery view just so you all know, since we're being recorded. And before I go into the questions, I actually have a request. So tomorrow is the assessments for my students who are completing their almost 2-year training with me in yoga therapy. First of all, if you're all on here, I wish you so much luck. I see, so I'm holding my computer with your hand, so it's a one-handed namaste from me back. But we need a few people on deck because this happens every year. We have clients that we do assessments with from 8:30 in the morning starting tomorrow till 1:30. It's 50-minute sessions with 30 minutes prep in advance. And we always have dropouts every year, which means it's very hard to keep the clients for the sessions. If anybody has some time tomorrow morning and would be willing to sit on deck to help us for some of the sessions or for all of the sessions. I don't know if we have actually sessions left, but the thing is we have dropouts on the day. Can you write to Leah? I've put it here. And we would just so appreciate if some of you would be on deck for sessions. Here it is, Leah at themindedinstitute.com. Right, and it's kind of like a service to us because we can't guarantee if you're on deck you get a session, but you help us immensely by being present. Thank you. Now, I'm not doing very much more teaching before the Christmas period, actually, because I am putting some of my courses online and doing some new projects. I think next week I have one, if anyone wants to sign up. And the week after, I'm doing my yoga therapy for PTSD 5D training. If anyone still wants to sign up for that, I only do it twice a year. But of course, I'll have the breath sessions again next week. So if there are any questions, please feel free to, the most ideal way is to use the Zoom hand. There's the participant button at the bottom. At the control bar, you can click on that. You'll get a list of everybody on the right and some buttons below. And then one of those will probably be more 3 dots, and then you can raise your Zoom hand. There was already a question that came in regarding breathing into an occluded nostril. Yeah, and so you can lift the sinus cavity. That's one of the easiest ways. You can also place your hand in the opposite armpit. You have sensory bodies here that when there's a good deal of pressure, it's not just a touch, what it does is it actually opens up the alternative side of the respiratory tract. So that's another option. And then finally, there's the saline solution. All of those things potentially might work. You're so welcome, everybody. Oh, Liz, if you volunteered and had no response, just write to Leah again, please. And Patricia Yatin, I see you have a question, so feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you, anyone with a COPD condition, whether you would advise them to hold the breath between inhale and exhale?
Not generally, no. And I also probably wouldn't teach alternate nostril breathing to somebody with COPD. I mean, it depends on the stage, because you have late stage COPD where you have this real breathlessness, and then you have early stage COPD. So there's not a one size fits all answer to that, but generally I wouldn't advise breath holding in COPD. And in the later stages of COPD, I also wouldn't advise this practice.
So you wouldn't advise the alternate nostrils
No, I mean,
breathing.
early stages, if they can do it without feeling breathless,
Yeah.
fine. But there's so many wonderful pranayama, and this would not be my go-to. I would do
Okay.
coherent breathing, elongated exhalations, those kinds of things.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions this morning? If we have none, that's also fine. I'll tell you something that I'm intending to do. Um, I want to do a survey. I've spoken to a colleague of mine of what yoga professionals are doing with individuals with COVID, how many of us are working with post COVID patients that have breathlessness, and what kinds of techniques we're doing and how they're working. I think it'll be really interesting to start collecting that data in an informal way. You can do these surveys with something called Survey Monkey, ask 5 questions, and it's free. And we can start figuring out what works best. I'm struggling with breath and holding my nostrils closed due to chronic fatigue syndrome. Any suggestions? Um, this breath isn't necessarily the perfect breath for everybody. It could actually be good for chronic fatigue syndrome. The thing is, Linda, when you're presenting with that, it's very hard for me to say to you how to modify because we're really talking more about yoga therapy than in a very specific way. And there would need to be an intake and a further discussion. I would say if it's agitating your symptoms to come to more gentle practices for you, to not create further agitation. However, sometimes with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, there's this moment of resistance, and if you move through it, it can improve. But I really can't advise you as to which situation to do because you'd need to be my client, and I would feel that it would be unethical and out of integrity for me to tell you. So, see a yoga therapist and try some other breath practices in the meantime that don't create that feeling. Thank you for the good luck to the students. I'm sure they appreciate it. Are there any other questions? If not, we can move about our day. When you first teach breath to people, what breath do you, I teach them elongated exhalation with ujjayi because it's very accessible and the impact is profound, right? You could just always do that. That would be enough, really, right? We go deeper and deeper, but elongating the exhalation is so powerful. So that's definitely my first go-to. Thank you, by the way, for all your well wishes to the students. Yeah, I'm sure they appreciate it as well, those of them that are on here, because our assessments are pretty intense. Um, I shouldn't have said that, right? I'll just freak you guys out more. It's- but it's true. Um, thank you, everyone. So we'll be doing 2 more sessions for the next 2 weeks, and then I have to have a break for personal reasons for 2 weeks, and I'll come back on. Um, yeah. So if there are no more questions, Minnie and I are going to head to the park for her morning walk. Right here she is on my lap. Can you all see her? Just sleeping like a little angel as we all do our breath practices. Okay. So have a lovely morning. I will let you all go. Minnie says love back to everybody. She's my great teacher about love. She lifted up, so yes, I am. Okay. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for all of you willing to help the students. Namaste with my one hand because I'm holding the computer out with the other. Okay, bye.